everyone, it's Sabrina from the Combe family, and I am back with another video. So today we are going to do a video about the cost of living in the village where we lived before we moved here to Nairobi and where we're going to move back to. So I thought I'd give you guys an idea of about how much we spent per month just living. So the particular month that I tracked, there was a couple extenuating circumstances. We came to Nairobi for World Vitiligo Day, which was obviously extra expenses coming here, and a few other things. We ordered a few things while we were here in Nairobi that we can't get on the coast, but I kept all of those things out of this general cost of living video so that you could see generally if you weren't buying extras, if you weren't going on trips, if you were just living your daily life, this is how much it would cost you. So I broke it down into 6 different categories. So I will put a picture of that on the screen now. The categories, as you can see, are rent, food, phone, transportation, contributions, and extras. So let's go ahead and get started. I have my notes here, that's why I'm looking down. Let's go ahead and get started with rent. So rent came to a total, as you can see on the screen, of 5,300 shillings, and that equals to about 44 US dollars. So the reason why that is higher than you see in our previous video where we said it was $25 is because that also includes our utilities. So we have 3,000 for rent, and then we have 800 for utilities that month, and then we had, and that's in shillings, and then we had 1,500 for a small room that we rented in the same building as my office. So for about a month or so, I was teaching online again. And so we rented that space for me to teach online. So that was about $12 extra. So the rent and utilities cost $31, and then the extra office space cost $12. So that came to a total of $44 for rent. So now let's go to food. I will put up on the screen the shillings and USD and how much we spent on food. So the total is 18,489 shillings, and that equals to 152 US dollars. So it seems, I'm sure a lot of people wouldn't say $152 for a family of 4 is a lot, but to me, it's kind of a lot, and that's because we ate out at restaurants often. Well, one restaurant often, like almost every day. And here they call the little small, like mom and pop restaurants, hotels. So we would go to the same hotel in this town almost every day. And that was because it was just easier for us because I was working. So I would be working, and then I would get 30 minutes off or an hour off, and then we would take the motorbike to the hotel and we would eat there, and then we would go back home, and then I would probably have another class. So that was a lot easier for us. So food included restaurant and groceries. So we would go grocery shopping in the markets where we would get most of our fruits and vegetables, and then often we would also get rice in town, and then other stuff like peanut butter and jelly and things like that that are not common here. We would have to go to the supermarket, which was in the next city over, to get those things. So food includes all of that, and it was 152 US dollars. So now let's go to phone. So I will put on the screen the amount of money that we spent on phone. It is a total of 9,107 shillings, and that comes to 75 US dollars. So with that, it encompasses a lot. So here, there's no separation between a cell phone bill and an internet bill and things like that. But there is separation between phone, like data, calls and then text messages. So there is differences between those. So when we pay for data, we usually pay for that in like, it's about 3,000 shillings for 40 GB of data. So we would usually buy that about once, sometimes twice a month. And then you have to pay for your text messages and your phone calls separately. So we added that up and it ended up being like about $7 that I paid on my phone for texts and calls. And then it was, oh no, that was Shaha. Shaha was about $7 and mine was about $2 for texts and calls. And then for data, I would usually buy data and then we would just hotspot everybody else's device. So if the girls were using the Kindle or if Shaha was using the internet, he would just use off of what I bought on my phone. So that came to a total of $75 for a phone. So now let's go to the next category, which is transportation. So I will put on the screen the cost of transportation. It is 6,875 shillings, and for USD it is 5,000, or no, sorry, for USD it is $57, only $57. So with that, we paid for gas with our motorbike. We also paid for fixing a few different things on our motorbike. Often when you have a motorbike, there is constantly something to be fixed. So whether it's windy and the motorbike falls down and breaks one of the side view mirrors, or whether you need to like replace the belt or get an oil change or just oil up everything on the bike and get it adjusted. I don't know. There's constantly things to fix on the bike. So that's pretty much a monthly thing. So gas, fixing the motorbike, and then a few times we paid for matatus and tuk-tuks. So a tuk-tuk holds typically 3 to 4 passengers, 4 if there's like 2 kids or something. And it's like a motorbike with like space in the back for 3 to 4 people type of situation. We don't have these at all in America, so I don't know how to describe them. But yeah, we would often take a tuk-tuk if we were going to the next city over to the grocery store or something like that, because it would be much easier than taking the motorbike, especially when we had the groceries with us going back. So I would do that if I was going to the grocery store by myself without Shaha, or if we were just planning on getting a lot of groceries at the store. Matatus, we would take a matatu if we were going to Mombasa or if we were going somewhere further, because it's just easier and much more cheap to get a matatu than a tuk-tuk or even taking our own motorbike. And often there are like checkpoints if you go farther, like past Kilifi, which is the city where the grocery store is. There's checkpoints and there's some corruption here, so they'll often make you pay the police in order to go past the checkpoint. We don't want to have to deal with that, so we just take a matatu. So that is transportation. It is a total of $57. So let's go to number 5, which is contributions. So this is something that I think as an American, it's harder for me to grasp and understand. So here often the parents will pay for their kids to go to school. Even elementary school costs somewhat, right? And people often don't have very much money here. So they will pay for their kids to go to schooling with the hope that their kids are going to have some type of sufficient job in the future and be able to help out their parents later on in life. So that was the case with my husband. He was the it kid in his family, that his family saw in him this perseverance, this motivation to become something, become a successful person, right? And so he ended up going to college to get I always forget what it's called, but to cast people. So he's like a technician to put casts on people when they break limbs or whatever, right? So his dad helped significantly pay for that, and because of that, his parents expect help when they need help. So that is something that we could talk about in more depth in a different video, because it's just another cultural thing that I'm having to adjust to. So contributions, I will put on the screen what we pay for that. And this was a time where we didn't have necessarily a budget set up for that. It was kind of just like whatever they needed. So we spent 4,500 shillings this month on contributions, which is $37. So in that, this month in particular was helping to feed his mom and his dad, and also Rachel, which is his niece who lives with his mom. And that was a few times. And then we also paid 2,500 shillings for fertilizer. This was during the time that the maize was growing. Everybody grows maize in the village, and so they needed to put fertilizer on the maize to make sure it was growing properly. So we paid for that as well. So that was contributions, and that ended up being $37. So for the last category, that is extras. So I will put on the screen how much we paid for extras. It was about 2,500 shillings, which comes up to $21. So with this, there's not really anything in particular that I could say, oh, we spent $21 on this, but it's usually give or take about that much. So if we need to buy extra basins for washing clothes, or we usually take bucket baths, so we use basins for that also, or if we buy a shirt or a dress for one of the girls, or kitchen supplies, anything like that that's not food related, we would just put in extras. So for our extras, it ended up being $21. So now let's get to the total, which is what everybody is looking for. I will go ahead and put that on the screen now. So the total ended up being 46,771 Kenyan shillings, which comes to a total of $386. So $386 is very cheap, and I'm sure every American would say, wow, right? So that includes our rent, our food, our transportation, our contributions for his family as well, any extras that we might need, and our phone, right? Phone including data as well. So we can watch YouTube videos, we could do Netflix if we want to, but we don't pay for that. So anything that requires internet, right? And then electricity is also included in our rent. So we don't have to pay for any of the electricity to charge our phones or computers or anything like that. So I definitely want to know what you guys think of our cost of living here, and if you would be willing to live in an environment like this just because you like it, or in order to have a cheap cost of living, or to show your children that there's other ways of living. Would you live like this, and would you appreciate how cheap it is, or would you say I can never live that way? I would love to know what you guys think, and please let me know in the comments. Please don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!